guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily, Thursday Thoughts. Your questions answered live today, keeping in theme with the week. It's going to be a bit of a football special. It's coming home, of course, after the match last night. The crescendo of excitement's building. The nation's starting to really enjoy itself and look forward to Sunday. Don't normally talk about football on DOdaily whilst it's a real passion. I try to separate it a little bit. Often people say to me, why don't you do a YouTube channel about football? That's not what I really want to do. Sometimes I try and keep it, like I say, keep it separate, but kind of do that when I'm not working, when I'm not working hard to do other things. So, but it's topical right now, isn't it? It's, like I say, everybody's getting excited. I was just lying on the bed this afternoon, having a bit of a rest, feeling a little bit hungover from the football last night. And I heard about 3 people go past the window whistling or singing "It's Coming Home." So it just shows, doesn't it, that everybody's got it on the mind right now. So I thought I'd do an episode on football. Why not? You know, it's my personal vlog. If you saw the video last night, it's got a really good response. Really enjoyed the match. You know, really got into it. Even my mum commented, didn't even know she knew how to do that. She commented on saying she loved the passion, you know, and that's just what I do. That's just how I fight. It's just what's sort of ingrained into me through following it for so long. But I always talk about also, don't I, being excited and making the most of what we do. Right now, this gives us an opportunity to be distracted, you know, to enjoy things. It's been a tough time, hasn't it? And as ever, I mentioned right at the start of the Euros that football has just got this habit sometimes of instilling a bit of positivity. I remember in 2018 when England did well in that World Cup, you know, everyone was talking about Brexit and there was lots of division, but it brought people together, and it's doing that again, you know, towards the end of this pandemic, hopefully. It's really helping us sort of just forget everything. You know, all of a sudden we're starting to look forward. We're looking forward to Sunday. We're looking forward to how we can celebrate it and enjoy it. You know, should we win? Hopefully we will. I'm really looking forward to the game. I mentioned that video there just to sort of change subject slightly. I will come back to football shortly. Been a really good week in terms of DOdaily. I'm really pleased with what I've been able to put out. Of course, that started with the challenge, which I took part in on Saturday, and putting a good video together for that. I had a little bit of support, but putting that together, but really sort of great feedback from everything that was said, you know, and it's just set me up again. You know, I always talk about being busy and it being full on. It just seems to be one of those weeks. Whilst I've needed to take a little bit of rest after that challenge, basically I missed out on a whole night's sleep, and I'm still feel like I'm catching up, chasing my tail a little bit. But it's good to stay busy as well, isn't it? Keep doing all the things we do. You know, and it'll come back to us in the next few weeks. Looking forward, of course, to Wake Up to Walk tomorrow. So it just feels like it's been another really epic but really exciting week. And that's what it's about, isn't it? You know, I try and come on here on a Thursday to start evaluating how it's gone, to look forward to the weekend ahead. You know, and if I can just sort of answer a few questions, light-hearted as they'll be today, or some serious questions. You know, I'm just trying to be honest and relatable. The vlogs I've put out this week, you know, are probably more like what I want to do on a regular basis. What I will say is when you do them sort of in snippets, like a couple of them have been, whilst they get great sort of numbers in terms of viewing and great comments and great feedback, they're really hard work. So it's kind of the long-term goal to keep doing that kind of thing and putting them out, but sometimes it's just a case of getting across the message I'm trying to do as well to move on. We all have busy days, you know, we all try and fit in quite a lot. So I'm just trying to do that. I'm kind of trying to keep myself busy around all the excitement, and that can sometimes get a little bit overwhelming. We spoke about that in the last couple of weeks. So it's even more important to make the most of the things that you really enjoy. And of course, for me, that's football, and that's the reason I'm kind of talking about it today. I kind of sometimes feel like I shouldn't, you know, whether it's stepping on other people's toes or the fact that this is not what I'm sort of here to do. But then I have to remember on the other hand that I'm trying to be honest and relatable and be myself. Those videos this week have really shown that. And if I can sort of talk about these kind of things from time to time, not overload with it, because it's all about health and well-being and creating positivity and having a good frame of mind and mindset, and working on ways in which we can improve. From time to time, this is okay. But at other times, we'll get a little bit more focused and talk about things that are relevant to that time as well. Recently, we spoke about such issues as Black Lives Matter and racism and things like that. And all those things are kind of important to make us all understand kind of what direction we're going. And I feel it's all part of feeling good about ourselves when we can understand things better. And that's all I'm trying to do. Today, I'm just trying to sort of relish in what's going on around us, enjoy the week, and enjoy these next few days. I watched the highlights this afternoon. The commentator said, and this was yesterday, of course, when the game was on, there's only 4 more sleeps to the final. Now there's only 3. Got big plans for Sunday. Looking forward to sort of getting back. I've watched every game in the same place, so looking forward to taking up a seat. Couldn't not now, could I? It's tradition almost already, and it's great just to be around the people I enjoy. I wouldn't change it for the world. You look on at in the last couple of weeks, kind of shown a bit of frustration about who's been at the match, who's not been at the match. I don't feel I've got any divine right to be there, whilst it seems to be all the famous and well off. That's another matter, but I just think now I've kind of got to that point where I want my friends around me and the people I enjoy spending time with, make the absolute most of it. Book the day off work, so hopefully we'll get a positive result, and that'll be absolutely worthwhile. Rather than sort of go into last week's throwback, I'll sort of store that to another time. What I'm going to do today is start with a few score predictions. I put a post out through my own social media asking the guys to comment on what they think the score will be. I won't say what I think it'll be just yet, because the first question, it might give away the first question. But just reading down a list of the people who commented, Dawn says she thinks it'll be 2-1 to England. Poppy says she thinks it'll be 2-1 to Italy. Ooh, that's not a popular choice. Carrie, I think he's probably still a little bit drunk from last night. He said it'll be 3-3 after normal time, 4-4 after extra time, and then England will win on penalties. Not sure it'll be that open. Ben said he thinks it'll be 2-2 and England on penalties. Kay thinks it'll be 3-2. So a few people are going for high-scoring games here. Have they not seen both teams' defensive records? Kay said she thinks it'll be 3-2 with a winning goal in the last minute for England. Hopefully that'll be really exciting, wouldn't it? Mr. Dorr says 1-0 to England. Jamie says 2-0 to England. So there's a few. Of course, most people watching this will be English, won't they? So most of us, apart from Poppy, not quite sure what our thoughts are behind that. But we'll take any of the others. We'll even Carrie's 3-3, 4-4 after extra time, and England win on penalties. If we get one of those, I'm sure it'd be absolutely amazing. But like I said, I didn't shoot straight into my prediction there, because the first question today is basically come from Dawn. Everyone is saying football's coming home, but do you really believe that we can beat Italy and bring the trophy home? And I thought this was a great place to start, because basically I've been thinking about it a lot, of course. Can we beat Italy? Before last night, I was saying all the way through that Italy have been the best team in the tournament. England have picked up. Momentum's definitely picked up, and we're much improved from the first couple of games, particularly that 0-0 with Scotland, which I was a little bit critical of. I'll come back to that as well. But I think Italy have been the best team. They do worry me, the pace they play at. England they've done well, don't get me wrong, and we're playing much better than we were last night. I was particularly impressed with the performance. They kept the ball well, and I think we're going to have to do that quite a lot against the Italians, because they break really quickly. I saw the game against Spain; there was end to end. So, to answer Dawn's question, do I really believe we can beat Italy? I absolutely believe we can. but I think it's going to be tight. Some of those scores was a bit out there, you know, lots of goals. Whilst I'd take that, you know, especially in England's favour, you know, I think it's going to be much tighter. We all know the Italians, if they get in front, they like to make it a bit messy. You know, they'll be falling over, they'll be winning free kicks, they'll be kicking lumps out of the England players. We might have to match up with that. You know, I think it's going to be tough. To be honest, I really do think it's going to be tough. I hope we win. I know we can win, but the one team I'd probably prefer to play Spain, to be honest, at this stage, because Italy of somebody I've seen a lot of, really been impressed with them. Really sort of, they've come out of nowhere. They didn't qualify for the last World Cup. They've not lost for 2 years. You know, that all these things have to come to an end. England did not concede a goal last night, so I'm not saying that necessarily matters. But what I am saying, it's going to be a tough game. If I remember back to my prediction, I don't want to say I told you so, but right at the start of the Euros, I did a Thursday Thoughts and we were talking about predictions. I actually said I think England might get to the final, but might just come up a little bit short on experience. I'm hoping that's not the case now. Hopefully the experience they've built throughout the tournament, you know, Gareth Southgate's got his tactics bang on. And like I said, I was a little bit sort of critical of the negative tactics in the first game, in the Scotland game in particular. Just picking up a comment there, Kay saying she don't think a nurse could take penalties. I think we was all the same last night. We was fearing that that's the way it was going. But like I say, I predicted England get to the final. And I think at this stage, whilst of course we all want them to win, I think on reflection, if we don't quite pull it off, you know, we'll all look back and consider that to be some sort of success. So hopefully football's coming home, you know, hopefully we get a good game, you know, and hopefully we come out on top. I think, to be honest, it's just about 50-50 and it could go either way. 1 minute I'm glass half full with this, 1 minute I'm glass half empty. But I'll be as positive as I can be, you know, but like I'm going to be really nervous. Thanks for the question, Dawn. It leads us in quite nicely, that. The next question comes from Ben. Really good question. What wider lessons can we learn from both the performance and the behaviour of the England team and their manager, both before and throughout this championship? I think this is a good question because there's one real sort of striking point that sticks out with me in all this. You know, there was a lot of talk before the championship. I'm not going to skirt around the issue. You know, there was a lot of talk about taking the knee. You know, and there's a lot of criticism for whatever reason people are deciding to boo it. You know, that our own fans in the stadiums almost booing the players taking the knee. But the striking sort of, I don't know, the point that the team was getting across almost that they were completely together. Gareth Southgate was adamant he was going to continue this. Do you know, and that says a lot, doesn't it? That strong leadership. I've spoken about it a lot throughout the pandemic and a lack of it in certain quarters. But I think what that's shown was strong leadership, and then the players have stopped believing in the manager. If he can front up to the nation, front up to everybody asking questions, you know, there's black players in that team, you know, who are going to take a lot from that as well. They're going to feel supported in the issue. I'm not saying necessarily the reason people are booing is against black players and things like that, but this is about Black Lives Matter. You know, this is about making a point of what happened. And I think the fact that Southgate has been adamant about it, you know, it's just shown a real togetherness in the team. And I think as that's continued, as the questions keep getting raised, you know, the players have really believed in it. On the face of it, Southgate's made some quirky decisions. I'm not saying they're the wrong decisions, because everything he's done seems to have worked. Do you know, and even last night he took Jack Grealish off after bringing him on because he felt that we was in a different stage of the game. These things don't generally happen in football, but he's brave enough to make those decisions. Do you know, a sub don't normally come on and get subbed, and it normally creates a bit of animosity. But it was like everybody believed in it, even Grealish himself. Do you know, there's been several sort of formation changes, players changing. I think in the first 3 games we played with different left backs. you know, and all kind of things like that. And it just shows that Southgate's brave enough to make the decisions. And I suppose the lesson to us all looking in, lots of us know about football, lots of us know a lot about football, but what we need to sort of remember is it don't have to be the way it's always been. You know, he seemed to be coming up with different ideas, different tactics, slowing the game down, picking the pace up. You know, the Germany game, I actually felt we was a little bit negative. Again, perhaps I was a little bit negative, because at the end of the day, we got the result, and that's all that matters. And that's all I kind of mean from that. I think almost that as fans, we perhaps are so used to not doing too well in these things, and when one or two results sort of go against us in the past, there's been like a snowball effect, and we've had a dramatic exit. But what we sort of kind of need to learn is to keep a little bit of faith. I'm not saying, again, I'd like to think because myself as somebody really positive, but just sort of keep that faith beyond one or two results, and that's hard. You know, being an England fan, being a Forest fan, you know, it feels like when we lose, we do it in the best possible way for those looking in, worst possible way for us. So it's just about sort of believing, I guess, and I touched on inexperience there, but you know, if you're good enough, you're old enough, I believe that. And one thing I'm taking, you know, I looked at the performances last night, you know, not a massive fan of Mason Mount because of his Derby connections and the obvious Forest Derby, but absolutely brilliant. You know, probably one of the first names on the team sheet. You know, and I really thought he played well. And you've got Rice and Phillips, again, play for unfashionable clubs, but Southgate is brave enough. And what I'm learning is he just seems to be brave, you know, and it doesn't matter what anybody's thinking. He's quite strong-minded. There's pictures today of him from Euro 96 and him now, and I'm always talking about sort of when things aren't going well, you know, and there'll always be a better day. I'm sure Gareth Southgate looks back to when he missed a penalty in the semi-final, you know, in 1996, which cost England a place in the final. And then 25 years on, you know, he's the manager taking them to the final. That must have been a really sort of really proud moment. It must be really sort of pleased with himself in the way he sort of his career has kind of turned itself around. Whilst he's done a lot since, you know, it probably almost feels like full circle, and he can take a lot from it. Anybody who's seen him fist pumping the crowd at the end would have got goosebumps and realised how much it really meant. So I think we can just learn from that, Ben, about how strong-willed they are. You know, whilst they're young, they're really determined and they're really playing for the manager, whatever decisions he kind of makes. The behaviour, you know, again, it all relates in. I just think that they're kind of setting good examples. Again, Mason Mount, again, has become a hero all of a sudden, but he was handing his shirt into the crowd. There's pictures on social media. It just shows that despite that negative stuff I was talking about before with the kneeling, you know, they're still trying to embrace everything and they're rising above it. And that's important, isn't it? Footballers have often been accused of being immature and not being focused on the game, whilst these guys are young and they've probably got outside influences. You know, they're playing the tournament as it should be. Great question, Ben. And the third question today, it comes from Kay, and not prompted her with this at all. You know, she just asked me whilst I was sent me a message whilst I was lying down earlier, actually, and I was thinking about it. It was stopping me going to sleep. That's what football does, so I don't know. But what's the best goal you've ever witnessed and what's the best goal you've ever witnessed and the best goal you wish you'd witnessed? I'll start with the best goal I've witnessed, and it probably isn't the best in terms of absolute best goal I've ever seen, but my most favourite goal I've seen at Forest, and there's been 3 or 4 that really stick in the memory, which I never actually saw. Do you know? So there was a couple of League Cup semi-final goals, with one a Stuart Pearce free kick in 1989. Roy Keane scored a header in 92 to get us to the final against Tottenham. 2 big games in Forest history. Do you know, when the League Cup meant something, when it was probably meant more than the FA Cup does these days, and cup competitions were taken seriously. Those 2 stick in. Lewis McGugan hit a free kick from about 85 million yards. just before half time, and I'd just gone down to the toilet. Serves me right, that does, doesn't it? One of the best goals in the last 10 or so years at the City ground. So I've never actually seen any of those, but those are probably my three favourite goals. The best goal I've seen, just a pure sort of atmosphere, the way it was hit, was a goal from Radim Majewski. It was just a little known Polish guy who was signed, and he played a handful of games, 2 or 3 games, and we were playing Derby, of course. Forest, the big rivals with Derby. And he just hit this ball so clean after a minute, and it was about 30 yards out. It crashed off the crossbar and went in, and it was just the City ground erupted up to the local Derby, who is quite well known for early goals, and when it goes in your favour, it just sets the tone for the rest of the match. Raddy became a real fan's favourite. Never really let us down. Real tidy little player. Never really a top player, but put a shift in and scored some absolute stunning goals for Forest. There's another one at West Brom. I wasn't there either. So they're probably my top 5 Forest goals. In terms of the best goal I wish I'd witnessed, it was actually in the Euros. It was in the 1988 European Championship final. When I was young, whilst I was a big Forest fan, I was sort of led in that direction by my uncle and auntie. I grew a real admiration for the AC Milan team of the late 80s, early 90s. I still sort of like them now. Whilst I'm a Forest fan, I follow them from afar. But of course, they're the 3 Dutch players, Rijkaard, Gullit and Van Basten. They're players like Maldini and Baresi and just an awesome team. Donadoni was a particular favourite. I remember the 1990 European Cup final, which they won against Red Star Belgrade. Really loved that team, loved the kit, loved everything about it, and always followed them since. Actually got to go to the San Siro a couple of years ago. But in the Euro 88 final, Holland played Russia. Marco van Basten scored technically one of the best goals ever. People still talk about it today. It's always in these great goal compilations. He was my kind of all-time favourite, apart from Forest, apart from Stuart Pearce, and the usual suspects there. But he scored an absolutely exquisite volley from a tight angle where it just sort of shouldn't have been scoring from. I'd have loved to have seen that. I'd have loved to have seen Van Basten play. Just a bit too young. He got injured as well not long after that and had to retire. But an absolutely stunning goal. And I thought that was quite fitting as well, the fact that it was in the Euros, and of course we're talking about that quite a lot now. Not quite sure what that means. I don't know what I've said there, but Dawn says I hate the P word. Penalties, I guess. Sorry, I get it now. Sometimes it's hard to get, Dawn. Moving on to question 4. This is from Ian. What is your non-England related favourite moment of the tournament so far? So getting back to the Euros, of course, that's what we're all excited about. There's been lots of England moments. Beating Germany is always a plus, isn't it? The game last night, like I say, really proud of the performance. Really thought we did what we had to do in the end. The start against Croatia particularly good as well. All the young players have been a joy to watch. But when I'm looking at the tournament, which has been great, hasn't it? It's been fantastic. There was the goal from the halfway line against Scotland from Schick, who plays for the Czech Republic. Brilliant that. Not just because it was against Scotland, nothing against those guys, but it was a fantastic goal. He set it right out towards the corner flag and he curled in over the goalkeeper. But I think my absolute favourite, and this is kind of why I'm a little bit worried, was the Italians on the first night. I always build myself up. I get excited about the tournament, get my wall chart out, get my flag out, do all the things we have to do. And all the things, not what we have to do, what we do as football fans, as little boys. But the first night, sat down, wasn't really inspired by an Italian team I'd not seen. And they played against Turkey, and they was absolutely outstanding, and it was one of those performances. I saw a lot of sort of people on Twitter saying, "Oh well, it's only one game," but sometimes when you watch football, you know a good side. Even if it is if it is one game, and you just know that players are decent. Got a good player who missed the last game actually, called Spinazzola. Been really impressed with him. A left back who's right-footed, which is unusual, but they've got some real attacking flair. And watching that first game, it really set the tone in the tournament. It seems like weeks ago now. It seems like forever ago. It's probably 3-4 weeks ago, but it just seemed like 3-4 months ago. It seems like that long that we've been watching it, but of course it comes up 10 this Sunday, whichever way it goes. So I'd say probably watching the Italians has been the thing. I like to think of myself as a purist, somebody who watches the game beyond just the obvious things, and likes to think they know a little bit about it and tactics and things like that. So the Italians have been the real highlight for me. I've enjoyed all their games. And even when they had to grind one out against Wales, they did just that. So really, they've been my highlight of the tournament. Favourite moment in particular, like I say, that goal. There's lots of other things. There was a good Germany performance against the Portuguese. Where they went 1-0 down and they looked like it was going out. And the night, if we're looking for a moment sort of within the tournament, the night when France played Portugal and Germany played Hungary, and it was toing and throwing, and anybody could have qualified. And as England fans, we all thought we wanted to play Hungary because that was easier, and the reality is all those teams that got through the known group of death, none of them got past the next round. So it wasn't as tough as it looked. But the night when they all had to play off to see who went through, I think 1 minute Portugal were winning and France were winning and Hungary were winning and Germany turned around and Hungary equalised, and it was all just really exciting. So that's probably the moment of the tournament. Really, really enjoyed that. A good question here as well, just to sort of finish on a light-hearted note. And I'm going to actually use that as this week's throwback question. Of course, you've got a few days to answer this. But if you watch the video, why not just make a comment? Always encouraging interaction. What has been your standout moment of the Euro so far? I'd love to sort of read a few of those. Hopefully next week we're basking in the glory of England's first tournament win in 55 years. Even older than me, older than most people, I guess. There was some around last time to remember it, and everybody talks about it so fondly. Listening to local radio today, guys talking on the radio about when they went down to Wembley and how they got there, and in difficult transport. When transport was difficult, not like it is today. So basically, what I'm saying there is, we want to be able to tell that tale, don't we? We want to be able to tell it forward, because again, we have to remember all these things. We have to take them forward. We have to make the most of it when it's happening. These people still out there going, "Oh, well, it's football. Get over yourself." Absolutely not. Make the most of what you enjoy. You'll see me do it week in, week out with running. You'll see me do it with activity and all the things I do. Definitely going to make the most of the Euros. When you see people who are generally like that, and they start to crack and everybody's watching the football, it's brilliant, isn't it? Everyone's talking about it. As somebody who does watch it and gets criticised for watching and talking about it too much, I hear little conversations in the office and think, oh, we're all talking about it now, aren't we? But it's great to hear, isn't it? It makes it feel even more special. It makes it feel like a momentous occasion. I'm sure Sunday's going to be just that. Like I say, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to the build-up. Like I say, it's been a really busy week. Really happy with everything that's gone off through DOdaily. Those two videos in particular, Monday and Wednesday, please check them out. Add some comments, give us some feedback. I'd love that. Today, like I say there, if you've got anything to add to any of those questions, let us know what your best goal is, or what's your non-England related favourite moment, or what lessons can we learn. Please post them in. I'd love to get some comments, just things to use next week, just to keep the conversation going. Sometimes, whilst it's about putting across important messages I touched on at the start, it's also about just keeping the conversation going. keeping interaction with those around us. You know, all these things are relevant, they're current. You know, it's big news right now. It's keeping us all going. It's definitely keeping me connected, you know, doing various little things, chatting to people, messaging people when games are on. You know, it's all great stuff. And that all builds up to the better sort of, a better spirit and a better sort of future. You know, whilst people might scoff at that too, you know, with all this COVID thing, you know, if we've got a few weeks to really sort of celebrate what England have done as a football team, you know, the nation can start to really sort of flourish. And of course, all these lockdown restrictions are going to be over shortly. You know, whilst there'll be one or two concerns, we've still got to act in a certain way. You know, it's all positive stuff, isn't it? If we come out of it with this, you know, we're going to be absolutely flying. In a year or two, we might look back and it might be just a thing of the past, and that's what we kind of hope for. But what we got to remember is the good times, and this could be another summer to remember for years to come. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I say, please like, share, subscribe. You know, watch those episodes. I'll keep encouraging you to watch those. Good figures for DOdaily. Not quite the 27 million ITV are boasting about at the moment, you know, and what's the game. But that says a lot itself, doesn't it? That's nearly half the population tuned in last night, you know, so that's absolutely amazing as well, isn't it? Don't tell me it's not something to be proud of. It's something to shout about. You know, come on, England, let's get out there and do it. Before then, of course, I'll be waking up to walk. You know, I'm really looking forward to it this week. Spoke about the sort of wall-to-wall chaos, you know, work, doing this, that, getting the match in, getting drunk in the meantime, you know, not feeling the best going into something else. But tomorrow morning, it's all about getting out there, attacking the day. Perfect for such times as this, you know, when things are busy, it's a perfect release for me. It means getting up early. It means stretching the day, you know, a bit further. But I absolutely love it. I finished last week at Blyduff, you know, and I'll be heading sort of east towards the east of the county from there. You know, another 4 or 5 miles maybe to add to the tally. Really enjoying that. You know, it's a perfect distraction. You know, so I'll be back then talking more about the week gone by. Looking forward to the weekend. Talking about all the reasons we're doing it. Taking in what I see on the route. You know, infusing, being optimistic about what I'm doing and what lies ahead. If you can join me, that'll be absolutely fantastic. In the meantime, if you've got any questions to ask me next week, try not to make it so football related. It might creep in, especially if we win. If we don't, probably won't even mention it. But absolutely anything about activity, exercise, you know, how to get motivated. We're coming up to the running season soon, you know, all the events are starting to pick back up. Got a big event again in a couple of weeks. So if you've got any questions around that and how to prepare, you know, we'll do some sort of focus Thursday thoughts on those, you know, and I'll look to get 1 or 2 people in too. So please pop over your questions to that email address or any of the social media links, which I've not actually posted today, but there you go, just quickly. Any of the social media links, that's the times I'm on. You know, looking forward to it tomorrow. Looking forward to everything. I can't hide my excitement. Check out that video from yesterday if you want to see the real passion. You know, until tomorrow, guys, have a good evening. Keep dreaming. Just doing it.